everybody. My name is Hannah Dintz. I'm an Associate Director of Admissions here at Columbia Business School. Thank you so much for joining us today to learn about the EMBA-Global Program. Today, we are joined by a few wonderful women. First, we're joined by my colleague, Susan Sullivan. Susan will be managing the Q&A box as we go through today's presentation. So please do submit your questions in the Q&A box, not in the chat. We won't be looking there. Susan will do her best to keep up with all of your questions, but please do keep in mind there are more of you than there are of her. So if she doesn't have a chance to answer your question, or we don't have a chance to answer your question at the end of the session, we will be sure to share contact information so you can follow up with our team. In addition, we are joined by two current students, Yahida and Ashley. So I'm going to just ask them both to briefly introduce themselves now. Yahida, why don't you kick us off just by sharing a bit about your professional background, what you do now, where you are joining today's event from, and what brought you to EMBA-Global.
Perfect. Thank you, Hannah. Well, a little bit about myself. I'm an engineer by trade, but have been in mining for all my career and have really moved across different sub-functions in finance, which is a bit tricky coming from an engineering background. Work for one of the two mining companies, one of the top ones globally and across different operations. I have been involved in business and functional transformation, lead transition of activities to shared services, focus on cost performance, and the last thing I did before changing roles now was the embedment of advanced analytics in finance. I'm originally from Peru, but have worked in 3 different continents. And as of 1 month, this is my 4th, I moved to the UK in the middle of the EMBA, which has been great. So I'm based here. I'm leading the productivity program for Rio Tinto, COPA, and I'm in charge of pretty much delivering a 1 billion productivity outcome of cash benefits in a year. I chose the MBA almost like a year ago, actually. I was at an inflection point in my career, and I needed to. I felt like I needed to have a bigger impact, not only in the organization, but a little bit more broader. And I felt like I didn't have the skill set or the experience that I would want. And the MBA, this one is so global that it has so different industries. And so now that I'm in, the people that are in are so talented, you know, and so that was one of the reasons why I chose it. And the second thing is that it's in different locations. In the one that at that point I was working from Chile, which made it a little bit more tricky, but at the same time, it opened my limits. So yeah, that's a summary. There you go, Ash.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that introduction, Yahida. I think that was really helpful for everyone to get a sense of one person they'll be hearing from today. And now, Ashley, can I ask you to introduce yourself as well?
Sure thing. Hi, everybody. So wonderful to be here with you all. Weird that I don't actually get to see your faces, but glad that we have technology to connect us. My name's Ashley Paxalt. I've been in technology my entire career. I started with startups. And when I say startups, I mean startups. I was the 4th employee at one company and then the 400th employee at another. I particularly have focused on machine learning and artificial intelligence, and then progressed into where I am today, which is at LinkedIn. I currently lead our global strategy and operations organization for LinkedIn Marketing Solutions, which is a very heavy data-driven, innovative space that we're constantly impacted by both macro and micro instances, which is very exciting. It keeps us on our toes. I am in New York, so you will hear noises. I apologize. It's part of being here. It's part of the reason I did choose this program in particular was that community and that connection to the epicenter that is New York. There's a particular energy to New York. There's a particular business vibe that comes with being in New York. And it's something that particularly connects with me personally. Additionally, I come from what you would classically call a non-traditional background. I was a chemical engineer that turned into a neuroscience major. I then progressed into, as I mentioned, technology at startups, and then eventually made my way to a big corporation. And so for me, I really wanted to round out myself, really smooth out some of my own learnings, my own knowledge. I could have done that within my company, could have gone and sat and shadowed and hung out with a bunch of different folks. However, it would have taken me a lot longer, and I probably wouldn't know that it was top tier, world-class, best in practice. So I really wanted to take advantage and invest in myself, which is why I came to the EMBA-Global.
Thank you so much for those wonderful introductions. And now we can dive into today's presentation. So the agenda for today, if it hasn't been clear from the intros, today's session is going to be focusing on our EMBA-Global program, specifically the EMBA-Global program partnership between Columbia Business School and London Business School. So if you're interested in learning about Columbia's EMBA New York programs, we do have other information sessions. You can sign up for those the same place where you signed up for today's event. We have other sessions focused on those programs. And if you're looking to learn more about the partnership with HKU, their team will have events as well. So we're going to talk today about the benefits of our partnership, the content of the program, some tips for the admissions process, and then fees and financial aid. So just to start with, what is EMBA-Global? So EMBA-Global was created to essentially fill a need for a truly global business experience for working professionals and executives who oversee international teams, who work across different markets and need to understand the business landscape and build networks in different cities. So the program we're going to talk about today, mostly EMBA-Global Americas and Europe. It's a 20-month program, and each year the intake begins in May. Classes move between New York at Columbia Business School and then London at London Business School. And the fees for those who are entering in 2022 are $209,800 US. So just to talk about kind of the program content and structure. So when you enter the Americas and Europe program, it runs for a total of 5 terms. The first 3 terms, you're going to be in the core curriculum, which we're going to talk more about in a bit. Your final 2 terms, you're taking your elective courses. During the core curriculum, your classes are taught in 4 or 5 day, what we call blocks. And these are split between being taught in New York by CBS faculty and in London by London Business School faculty. When you're in these 4 or 5 day blocks, they are also residential, meaning you are staying in hotels near the respective campuses with your classmates. Once you're taking your elective courses, at that point, you can choose to take your electives across the different schools. And you also can, at that point, switch up your time format. So let's say you are based somewhere near New York City, and when you get to those final 2 terms of electives, you decide, you know what, these block week structures are not really working for me anymore. I'd like to take weekend electives, for example. You could choose to do that instead. Traditionally, part of the program has been an international assignment or seminar. This is an elective course, so you earn 3 credits for it, where you choose between a few different locations, and the course being taught in that city is connected to kind of the business landscape in that location. Some of the great benefits of the program are that when you graduate, you are considered an alum of both London Business School and Columbia Business School, meaning you have full access to the alumni network across both schools, 86,000 strong, as well as access to different alumni services. And while you are enrolled as a student, that means you have access to career management services at each school if you wish to take advantage of those. Upon graduation, you receive 2 MBA degrees. So you'll receive 1 MBA degree from Columbia Business School and then 1 MBA degree from London Business School. So this slide is going to show you, a bit about where we have alumni clubs around the world. Basically, I think this slide does a great job of showing you that there's really nowhere in the world your career could take you where you wouldn't be able to connect with other alums and build out your network. So next, we're going to talk about the core coursework. As I said, your first 3 terms, your schedule is assigned to you. You're taking those 4 or 5 day blocks. And these are the business foundational courses you're going to be taking during this time. So I'm going to pause here and I'm going to start by turning to Ashley. Ashley, I think, sometimes when people look at this slide, particularly if they'll be new to studying business in an academic environment, or this will be their first time being exposed to some of these topics, it can feel a little intimidating. So could you talk a little bit about your experience during the core thus far? Talk a bit maybe about how you've been balancing work and school. I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah, happy to, Hannah. So a little context, I have a 34-person team underneath me that we've hired 20 of them during the time that I've been in the EMBA program. And I at points have had anywhere between 5 and 16 direct reports. So balance is crucial when it comes to doing the EMBA as well as my work. And so a lot of this that I've really taken on board is to understand where are the areas that I really need to be investing my time for my own growth of knowledge, perspectives, etc. Where are the different resources to help me in that growth journey? And so there are the classes, which happen in block weeks. There's your learning group that you will be aligned with that can support you. And there's others that are going to be experts within your overall cohort as well. Additionally, the university provides resources like tutoring for you and these different things. I personally take advantage of those quite often. But I think the big thing here is to recognize you are going to have work and you are going to have school. And for those of you that are like me, that's used to being the best at everything you do, you're going to need to come with the terms and understanding that there's going to be fires that you're just going to have to let burn. And you're going to have to make some really tough trade-offs. And the big piece is that you should maximize your learnings and opportunities in the space in those growth areas as much as possible, because it's really an investment in you. I would also highly encourage you, as you think about embarking on this journey, is to make sure that you have a support system. Both the school will provide you the one at the school, but in your personal life as well. I'm very fortunate to have a partner that him and I sat down before I took on this program and we talked about what this would really mean for us. It's really important that you have that conversation in advance, because as you go through this, there's going to be nights where you're working late and you need somebody to order you some Thai food so you can be crunching through studying or different case studies so that you can be successful in juggling.
Thank you so much, Ashley. I think that that's all really good advice. And I think, it's really helpful for the folks joining us today to kind of hear about how you have been balancing it all. As Ashley mentioned, when you're in these core classes, you're going to be assigned to what we call a study group. So that'll be the group of about 5 or so students who you're doing the majority of your assignments with. So it's a great support system, as Ashley said, for helping you to kind of divide and conquer the work. And these teams are put together really intentionally. So you are intentionally paired up with a diverse group of folks from different professional and academic backgrounds. So everybody brings some strengths to the table. Everybody brings some areas for development. Yahida, turning to you, I was wondering if you could first tell our audience a bit about the different professional profiles of your learning teammates. And then if you could talk a little bit about how you work together.
Okay. Yeah, my teammates are super diverse. I have people from technology that have gone from startups to a corporate during the EMBA. So that gives it a little bit of a different flavor. Someone from insurance that is focused on nonprofit, which again, different. Someone that is an investment, very financing focused, very very focused on M&A. And yeah, I'm missing one. Oh yeah, private equity, also the most fun one out of all. But they all have different both technical backgrounds and experiences, and the way that we work. Well, on the first course, on the first term, you're going to have a course in executive leadership and leadership on organization and change, where they actually guide you how to work better with the team, how to establish base rules, ways of working, and it was really helpful at the beginning because we didn't know each other. But I'll have to say, like at the beginning, we set all these rules, and then you become like kind of your second family because you seriously need to leverage from them, both experience and the time to be able to share tasks and the things that we needed to do and learn. So I have to say that if we look back to the agreement that we made initially, pretty sure that we didn't comply with anything of it. But we work quite well. We get together every week. We get together for assignments, but now we also get together just to have fun. Some of them are already traveling to see the other and meeting the family. So one of the biggest things for me has been developing that with the team that we got assigned. I think it's a second family now.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. And I think you led me to my next question, so for everyone listening today, both Ashley and Yahida started the program in May of 2021. So of course, caveating this with, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic has continued to alter the program experience a bit. But for either of you to jump in now, would you mind sharing a bit with our group today about some of the more social aspects of the core? What are some of the things that you do outside of the classroom when classes are done?
Go on.
Sure. Do you want me to go first? Do you want to go first? I'll go. You want me? Okay. So during your first part, you will actually select reps, and there will be reps of different flavors, but the one that's most important for this question is social reps. So there will be individuals that step up and actually create really meaningful community moments for your overall cohort. That will be large scale events that you'll go to. These have ranged for us from big rooftop nights here in New York, all the way to like a gala themed party in London and everything in between. Additionally, folks have different interests and activities that they themselves enjoy. And so there's a group of us that are really into working out. And so after every class, we actually go to Barry's together. So we'll actually go to Barry's and do a Barry's workout class, and then we'll meet up with everybody at whatever that evening's activities may be. If you are based in one of the cities where there are other EMBAs with you, you'll also meet up usually in between block weeks. The New Yorkers all actually get together usually for a dinner at least once a month and hang out together. I know that the London folks have been doing CrossFit classes. And so it's this new amazing extension of your network that you can really be your authentic self with and really lean into interests of old as well as interests as new, as you might test out differentiated things. Yeah, Haida, is there anything you'd want to add?
Yeah, I think one more thing. When I was in Chile, I felt a little bit outside because it's New York and the UK. And for me, those weeks were the biggest one where I got to engage with everyone. And the social reps are really good because they plan everything every day. So we know what we're doing, how we're doing, and everything else. But then I reached out to the social clubs that are in each of the countries as well. So Chile has a social club, and there's different social clubs depending on the country. And it was actually good because they are people that have gone through the EMBA as well. So they extend your connections to all different industries. And in here, now that I moved to the UK, that there's also the MBA full-time as well as in CBS, and the connections are there. So it's easy to extend the network far beyond the MBA, the cohort as well. Yeah.
Thank you both so much for that. I think, when folks are deciding to do an executive MBA program, one of the biggest questions that we get is, will I get that same kind of community bonding experience that I would get in a full-time program? So really appreciate you both taking the time to share, how you spend time with your classmates and build those really meaningful bonds. So when you're in the core, this is a sample class week schedule. So as you can see, classes run Wednesday to Saturday with optional events beginning on Tuesday. The reason for that is, of course, if you're going to be traveling, we definitely encourage you to get to the city where classes are happening a day early, start to adjust to the time zone if needed, not, sprinting from an airport. So this slide shows you when you're in the core what a week might look like. You've got an optional career coaching and workshop run by the Career Management Center, following with drinks and networking with EMBA-Global alumni, and then going into your classes. So on class days, you have 3 classes, each runs for 3 hours. With a lunch break of an hour and a half and a 30-minute snack break. We keep you really well fed during these class weeks. There's never a shortage of food. Breakfast and lunch are catered and served to you, so you're not running around looking for food, and same with the snacks. And then, as you were just hearing from Ashley and Yahida, in the evening, when you get out of your last class of the day, on some days, there might be sort of formal CBS run programming, like a review session for corporate finance, or you might be doing something sort of social and organized by your peers. So once you are done with the core curriculum, so you're up to term 4, you start to take your elective classes. And as I was mentioning at the beginning, at this point, the program becomes really flexible. So if you like that block week structure of once per month, you take a week out of the office and you go to class, that's totally fine. You can keep doing that during your electives. But if that schedule isn't really working for you anymore and you prefer to take, let's say, Columbia's EMBA New York weekend elective classes, or you prefer to take weekday evening electives, if you live close to one of the campuses, you're welcome to do that as well. Because during the elective portion, everyone in your class is kind of picking and choosing their own schedule. At that point, hotel accommodations are no longer included. You are responsible for securing your own accommodations if you'll still be traveling. Want to pause here. So Ashley and Yahida, I know that you are still wrapping up the core. You haven't started taking elective classes yet, but Ashley, turning to you, are there any elective classes you've heard about that you're looking forward to taking, or just generally kind of perhaps sort of high-level areas of study that you're interested in exploring during the last couple of terms?
Yeah, appreciate the question. So I'm being sneaky, and I actually took an elective already. So I'm in a pretty exciting elective for me. It's going to sound really lame at first, and I'll explain it to you guys, which is process improvement and growth. So it's an operations management course. What makes it really exciting is we're actually partnered up with small business owners that are minorities. in the Manhattan, and we're actually working with them directly to help them understand where they may have process improvement and growth opportunities, so that way they can scale and expand their businesses overarchingly. It's what I do for work, but it's a very unique opportunity to be able to take a step back and invest in a local entrepreneur that's really trying to grow their business and really have that investment within my own community here in New York. Additionally, I have found like a weird passion for economics during my time. We took our first core class in economics. It was the first economics class I ever took. And it's something that I have found a ton of passion for. And so I'm really excited to actually double down and invest in that space and grow myself and my own awareness.
Thank you, Ashley. I think that does a great job of just highlighting, some of the really interesting and unique learning opportunities that the EMBA-Global Program provides. So continuing on with the program content. So our hope is that this will, be able to come back as a part of the program, but of course, caveating this with we have not been running the international assignments the past couple of years, but hopefully that's now ending. Traditionally, this is a required part of the program. It's one course, so you receive 3 credits for it. These courses meet in different cities around the world for 1 week. And so while you're there, you're taking an actual class, but you're also visiting local companies, meeting with industry leaders, perhaps meeting with school alumni in that city. And the coursework is tied to the location that you're in. So for example, in the center of the slide, you see a picture from our very popular Munich course. It's always timed to line up with Oktoberfest, and you're studying experiential marketing through the lens of the success of Oktoberfest. The course that takes place in Tel Aviv is all about Startup Nation. And of course, many students also take advantage of these courses by extending their trip a bit on the front or the back end with their peers so they can do some exploring and tourism. So a lot of you are probably here today. You're thinking about getting an MBA degree because you're looking to invest in your career and kind of take it to the next level. So I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, how does the program support career goals? So as I mentioned at the beginning, one of the great benefits of the program is that you have full access to the career services at both London Business School and Columbia Business School, and you can choose how to take advantage of those based on your own kind of career goals and where you're based. On the Columbia Business School side, we have a team within our Career Management Center that is exclusively dedicated to working with our executive MBA students. So these are advisors who really specialize in working with experienced professionals because, of course, your career needs and goals as an executive MBA student are different from what a full-time MBA student is looking for. I always use this slide to explain that if you are here today because you're looking to make a very significant career change, you're looking to do a complete 180, you want to change both your industry and your function, the executive MBA program is likely not a match for you. You likely want to do a full-time MBA where you have that summer off in the middle to do an internship and kind of get your foot in the door for the first time. But the EMBA-Global Program can be a great way to make other types of changes, change your industry, but remain in a similar functional role, or move from more of a technical role into more of a strategic role within your firm, those kinds of changes. The Career Management Center will provide you with a lot of different services. First, they're there for advising. So you can arrange a time to go meet with an advisor and just kind of talk through what you're looking for, what you enjoy, your goals. They will work with you on what I like to think of as kind of the bread and butter of career management. So, they will make sure that your resume or CV is in the standard expected CBS MBA format. They will work with you on your interviewing skills. They'll do a great exercise where they actually record you doing a mock interview and then play it back to provide you with real-time feedback. They'll help you navigate the alumni network and figure out who you should reach out to. In addition, if you're looking to do the EMBA-Global program, but you're not really looking to make a career change, you're looking to enhance your skill set, you're looking to further yourself within your organization, but you're not planning to look at new opportunities, the Career Management Center is still a really phenomenal resource. On those class days, during that 1 hour lunch break, they will frequently be running workshops and professional development sessions really focused on evergreen topics like salary negotiations or managing a difficult boss, the types of topics that are really helpful for you to hear about, again, even if you're not looking to make any kind of a change. So I believe, Yahida, I know you said you have not engaged with them much. Ashley, have you had a chance to engage at all with either career center, either at CBS or LBS?
I've worked with them a little bit in different capacities. So one capacity is I am a hiring manager. And so it's been fantastic to create a connectivity with the community now that I'm a part of it. And so being able to have that connection and continue to pass forward and invest in the talent that exists within Columbia and LBS has been fantastic. Additionally, I've had the opportunity to meet with the career management team. Specifically, I'm not looking to change jobs. I love my job. I'm one of those weird people that talks about how awesome their boss is all the time in their company. But what's been really helpful for me is just to have coaching on a regular basis. It is a very stressful experience juggling both work and the program itself. And so it's really nice to have somebody there that can help coach you through different situations that might be occurring within your work and kind of have that additional backing for you. Additionally, I've had the opportunity to dip into our executive in residence program that is available to us. This is a really powerful network of seasoned executives in various industries that, even though I work at LinkedIn, which is a giant networking site, I myself would never have had the opportunity to connect with these folks because I don't have degrees of connection with them. So it's individuals that were CEOs at consulting firms or pharmaceutical companies that continue to sit on boards or are chair people of different organizations, and being able to sit with them and talk with them about what I'm looking to do with my career, how I can best position myself, what my pitch might be as I seek to move into the C-suite has been invaluable.
Thank you so much, Ashley. And thank you so much for talking about execs in residence and for talking about, how you as a hiring manager have leveraged the talent network that exists here to, build out your own team and, enhance the relationship between LinkedIn and CBS. I think that's a really good example of one of the great benefits of the EMBA-Global program is that we see within the classroom, oftentimes when EMBA-Global students make a change, it's not even necessarily through the Career Management Center directly, it's through their peers. Because like Ashley, everyone in the classroom is a hiring manager and they're a part of that decision-making process. And your classmates already know that you're bright, you're hardworking, you're able to balance a lot of competing priorities. And so it's a great way to explore new opportunities. So for the class that graduated in May of 2020, this is the profile by industry, and this does not tend to change very much from year to year. So you can expect that if you enter in May of 2022, your class will look very similar to this. Of course, finance being the most well-represented industry, we are in New York and London, finance capitals. But I do always remind folks that even within that finance percentage, you're going to have a lot of diversity. You're going to have sell side and buy side. You're going to have folks who classify themselves as finance, but they might do social media marketing for a financial services firm. You're going to have people from sales and trading, from banking. So really that, even within that percentage, you're going to have a lot of different folks. And then as you go down the list, you can see the other industries we typically have represented. So just a little bit more about the class profile and kind of what we're looking for. So it is a requirement of the EMBA-Global program that you are fully employed for the duration of the program. The reason for this is that for as much as you're going to be learning from your professors, a really big part of the program is the learning that happens between peers through those classroom conversations where your peers are sharing their own experiences and their own perspective. We are also looking for folks who are either currently in or will soon be taking on a transnational role and responsibilities. So we're definitely looking for people who specifically kind of fit and make sense for a global program and will specifically get benefits from exposure to the business landscapes in multiple cities. We don't have any sort of minimums or cutoffs. So I get asked a lot, do I have to have a specific number of years of experience, or do I need to be a specific title within my organization to apply? The answer is absolutely not. But we are looking for folks who are at a point in their career where they have some degree of management responsibility. That can look like a lot of different types of management. It can mean managing people, but it can also mean managing budgets or large-scale projects or important client relationships. But making sure that you are at a point where you have that kind of decision-making responsibility. Of course, you're going to need the flexibility to complete the block week program. And so as part of your application, which we'll talk about shortly, you will be asked to upload a letter of time sponsorship from your employer, which is essentially them just confirming in writing that you have permission to be away from the office on class days. And then finally, all courses are taught in English. So you do need fluency and comfort for studying and completing work in English. In terms of the class profile, the average number of years of work experience is 12. Again, that's just an average. We don't have any hard requirements. And of course, every year we're going to have folks on both sides of that 12 number. But I think that just gives you a good kind of sense of who will primarily be in the classroom with you. About 26% women in an average year, 32 countries represented, and then that 96 number of students is for the class of 2020 across the whole EMBA-Global program. So you can expect about half of that, about 45 in the EMBA-Global. That's just Columbia Business School and London Business School. So a lot of you are probably here today because you're looking for some tips in the admissions process. You're looking to get some more information about how to manage that. So the first thing to know is that we have a rolling admissions process. So what that means is that we don't have any rounds, which is a little bit different likely than some of the other programs you may be exploring. Instead of waiting until the deadline to then start reviewing applications, we do review applications as they are submitted. So once you hit submit on your fully completed application, you can expect to hear back from the admissions committee within 6 weeks, letting you know if you've been invited for an interview or if the process will end there. Because of that, it is definitely advantageous not to sort of wait to submit your application, because the sooner you apply, the more spots we have to fill in the class. I don't want you to take that as me rushing you. Of course, you want to wait to submit until you feel your application is strong and you're really putting your best foot forward. But you don't need to wait either. No reason to wait until the deadline. If your application is done, you can go ahead and hit submit and get that process moving along. And of course, the sooner you submit, the sooner you hear back from us, which is helpful because it gives you more time to plan with your company, with your family, that you're taking on this program. So as far as what is a part of the application, you're going to fill it out online. You're going to be asked to submit a few essays, which help the admissions committee kind of better understand your career goals and why you're looking to do the EMBA-Global Program. You will be asked to submit 2 reference letters. Ideally, one of these will come from your current direct supervisor because, of course, they should be well aware and on board with you doing this program. Your second letter should come from somebody to whom you've been professionally accountable to in some way. So ideally, this will be somebody who knows you well and has really seen your work kind of up close and can tell the admissions committee with some detail what makes you fabulous and what's going to make you a strong contributor to the EMBA-Global community. Of course, there are some folks for whom asking their current supervisor is not possible. You know, if you work for a family business and supervisor is a blood relative, or if you're an entrepreneur, so you don't have a supervisor, or if you're kind of new to your organization, so you don't really know your supervisor all that well, in that case, you know, we encourage you to think about, is there a former supervisor or indirect manager, a client, a vendor? These are all examples of folks who can write really great reference letters. Besides your reference letter, you're also going to be asked to submit 1 standardized test score. We accept the GMAT, the GRE, and the executive assessment. So for those of you who have not yet taken your test, I really strongly encourage you to look at that executive assessment option. The EA, for short, is given by the same company that gives the GMAT, but it was designed with the needs of executive MBA applicants in mind. So it's about 90 minutes long, 1 section verbal, 1 section quant, 1 section of integrated reasoning. And the major difference from the GMAT is that your integrated reasoning score gets included in your total overall score instead of being broken out separately. We tend to find that IR is a strength of the folks doing the EMBA-Global program because that type of thinking and work is much more aligned with the type of work you're probably doing at your desk every day. Test scores remain valid for 5 years after you take them. So if you've taken the GMAT or the GRE within the past 5 years, you can cross that off your list, you're done. It's also really important to remember, because this part of the admissions process usually gives folks the most anxiety. For the EMBA-Global program, we are mostly focusing on your work experience during the admissions process. We're mostly looking to understand, you know, what has your career trajectory been up to this point? What perspective will you be bringing to the classroom? What will your peers be learning from you? We're really just using this test score to help us understand kind of where you are right now, particularly your comfort with quantitative concepts. As you saw on that earlier slide, during the core curriculum, you're going to be in accounting and corporate finance and statistics. So we want to make sure everyone coming into the program is set up for success in those classes. But that's really all we're using the test score for, to help us understand where you're coming from. If you have never gone to school or worked in an English-speaking country, you will also be asked to submit either your TOEFL or IELTS scores. However, we can give waivers to that requirement if you are fluent in English. So, but you don't meet either of those examples I shared. You can just email our team. I'll share that contact information at the end to request one of those waivers. As I mentioned, you're going to be asked to submit that letter of time sponsorship from your employer, just confirming that you have permission to be away from the office on class days. You will be asked to upload your unofficial academic transcripts. So for any completed degrees that you already hold, we'd like to see the courses you took and how you performed in them. These do not need to be officially, sent from your former institution to us, you can just upload, if you have in your email inbox like a PDF version of your transcripts, or you have the hard copy at home, you want to just scan it and upload it, that's totally fine for the admissions process. We just need it so we can see the courses you took and how you performed in them. And then finally, the interview. So anybody who's going to be admitted to the EMBA-Global Program will be asked to complete an interview with a member of the admissions committee. If you're based in the Americas, your interview will be with somebody from Columbia Business School. If you're based in EMEA, it will be with somebody from London Business School. And if you're in the APAC region, it will also be with a Columbia Business School admissions officer. These are, of course, remote for the time being, so it'll just be over Zoom. And these are very conversational. You would never be asked like a trick question or asked to do a case or like a brain teaser, nothing like that. The interview is really just a chance for us to kind of get to know you better as a person beyond what we can read on the page. So you can expect to be asked, what are you looking to do when you graduate? How do you see the EMBA-Global helping you achieve your career goals? Why are you interested in CBS and LBS? Those types of just getting to know you as a person better. During that interview, we're also looking to understand, are you someone who's excited to be a part of the EMBA-Global community? Are you going to be the kind of student who, like Ashley and Yahida, in the middle of your very busy workday, on top of everything else you have going on, you're going to be willing to hop on an event like this, or you're going to be that social chair that they were talking about, planning events for your classmates, just looking to kind of understand, are you someone who is really excited to be back on campus, not necessarily just looking to add another credential to your LinkedIn profile. After your interview, you will hear back from the admissions committee within 2 weeks with your final admissions decision. And those admissions decisions, to be clear, are made by a joint admissions committee made up of professionals from both CBS and LBS. Yahida, I'm going to turn to you here. As you can probably imagine, when you were in these folks' position, it can be a little bit intimidating to take on the process of applying to business school on top of all of your other busy commitments. So I guess a question I have for you is there something that you wish you had known when you were in their shoes that you would like to share with the group today? Or just any, if not that, just kind of any general advice for how to get started tackling this process?
Sure, that's a great question. I think, let me start with the second. I think with the benefit of now looking back, the first ticket items is the talking to your family, talking to your closest ones, and talking to work, either your team or your boss and everything around you. Everyone needs to be aware that it is happening and that is something that you want to do and how much investment of time you want to do. I think that is the basic, because if you don't have that, then you wouldn't have the space to actually take advantage of everything else. Now, what would I have liked to know before is I don't know if this is what the university wants me to tell, but it's not that stressful. And it's actually a process for yourself, or for myself it was when I did it. When I was writing the essays, the questions that are asked are a really good way of reflecting what is it that you're really bringing to the class, and what is it that you really want from the cohort. And for me, it was really useful because you feel like you're in that inflection point, and most of that cohort is going through that same journey, just for different reasons and wanting different things. But then shaping it and what does that mean? I think that was very useful for me, more than a selection process. For me, it was useful to know what I was going to bring to the table, and and also if the program fitted, because the program has a specific guidance, and the way that we're presenting it, I think it's a very comprehensive way of what it will bring. And if it's the right fit, to your point, Hannah, everything is about experience. And you the more that you are transparent with the process, the more you're gonna get out of it. It's almost like a value circle. The EA for you, I had to take it because I wasn't in a university that had the GMAT. It was a little bit stressful. You need to prepare a little bit, but yeah, to your point, it's more on things that we normally do at executive levels. So it's not that difficult to prepare. You need to do a little bit of study, but it's not like taking the GMAT. And the interview, I thought it was really good. I did it with you, Hannah. So yeah, but I think out of it is taking the process as helpful for yourself to help you select and help you figure out what you want to get out of the EMBA.
Thank you so much, Yahaira. That was wonderful. And yes, interviewing you and getting to know you that way was definitely one of the highlights of the last admission cycle for me. And it's so much fun for us then when we get to the other side and we get to see you here thriving as a student. So more just kind of logistics. Your tuition for the EMBA-Global Program is inclusive of the books you need for the core curriculum. Those will be delivered to you at your home or your office, whichever you prefer. As Ashley was mentioning, it includes tutoring hours during the quantitative core classes if you would like to take advantage of those. Hotel accommodations during the core curriculum near either the Columbia or London campuses. The fee for that international seminar, and then catered breakfast, lunch, and snacks on class days. Many EMBA students fund their degree through a mix of student loans, personal savings, and then employer financial contributions. Our financial aid office at Columbia Business School is happy to assist those who are in the US or are US citizens with the student loan process and answer any questions about that. We also have a number of resources if you are considering approaching your employer to try and ask for or negotiate for some amount of financial support. We on the admissions team and in our financial aid office have resources that can help you kind of build that business case. So just follow up with us after today's session and we're happy to share those with you. In terms of next steps, so the final deadline, if you're looking to enter the program in May of 2022 is March 8th, a month away. So plenty of time to get an application started if you would like to enter this May. If you heard today's event and you're not quite sure if the EMBA-Global Program is the right fit for you, if you go on the Columbia Business School admissions website, you'll see there is a link where you can actually submit your CV or your resume for review, or your LinkedIn profile, you can send that as well, for review by the admissions committee. And we will be happy to share feedback on if we think you're a professional fit for the program. We definitely encourage you, if you have folks in your network who are program alums or current students, to connect with them or to continue coming to events such as this one, where you can hear from current students like Yahaira and Ashley. We also have resources on the admissions team side if you have questions about your business case, asking for your employer to allow you the time to participate in the program. So feel free to reach out to us. On our website, the same place where you signed up for today's event, you'll see we've got a ton of other virtual admissions events going on throughout the spring. So encourage you to keep engaging with us. And then finally, of course, if you haven't yet taken your EA or GMAT or GRE, just making sure that you book that test date. Of course, those tests are all now offered both in person at test centers as well as at home online, whichever you prefer. So there's plenty of testing availability for those at home versions, but getting a date locked in on the calendar, I think is sometimes the most helpful step, because then you have a deadline you need to be ready to go by. So down here, we've got the contact information. You can contact the CBS admissions team here at apply@gsb.columbia.edu. You can also contact our counterparts at London Business School if you're based in EMEA at EMBA-Global@london.edu. So with that, I think we have time for like one question from the audience, and then anything else, encourage you to follow up with us over email. So Susan, I know you've been busily typing away, but is there one question from the audience you think we should end on today?
Well, actually, a couple of questions have just come in. People are obviously interested in class visits, both at CBS and LBS. Could you address that issue?
Yeah, great question. So from the Columbia Business School side, we are currently not able to offer the opportunity to visit a class. We are currently waiting for more guidance from our administration on updated policies for accessing our campus if you're not an enrolled student. As soon as our team has more information from our administration, we will send out a broad email update and update our websites. So we will get that information communicated to you ASAP. And in the meantime, encourage you to continue joining us for our other virtual events.
Thanks, Hannah. That's it for the questions.
Wonderful. Well, I just want to say thank you so much again, Yahida, for being here today and for sharing your experience with the group. It was so wonderful to have you. Ashley, for everyone, had to hop just to go to another meeting, but of course, very glad she was here as well. And Susan, thank you so much for being here today and for answering everybody's questions. I know there were a lot coming through, so thank you. For everyone here today, we really hope you will continue to stay in touch with us with any questions throughout the admissions process. We really look forward to seeing your applications come through on March 8th, and we look forward to seeing you at additional virtual admissions events in the coming weeks. So have a great rest of your Tuesday all, and we'll see you at the next event. Thank you again, Yahida.
Thank you, Hannah. And if anyone needs any help, just let me know.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.